I am Matt Williamson, at Williamson NFL. It's my usual start to the podcast. Hope everyone's doing well. The draft is right around the corner. There's not a ton of news. Again, these teams are buckling down, building their draft boards, war room, waiting on Aaron Rodgers, et cetera, et cetera. But the Steelers did do something today that I thought was noteworthy and worthy of a whole podcast, really, is they signed Calvin Anderson. Not Spencer Anderson, who they drafted a couple years ago. Calvin Anderson, who they picked up kind of under the radar through the season last year. They signed him to a 2-year deal. I did not see the money, but I thought it was really noteworthy that it's a 2-year deal. That basically means he's making the team, folks. You know, I mean, like, they liked him. He's an undrafted free agent that had a very good college career at 2 different spots. And got here, fit in quickly, and it really indicates, I haven't studied him. I need to watch more of him, I guess. I kind of just, again, nondescript signing when it happened, but then it was like, oh, okay. And the fact that you give him a 2-year deal means that they're very comfortable with him. He moves well. He fits the system well as his outside zone blocking scheme. He knows the system. That's important. So keeping tackles is always a good thing. I mean, I think you guys know my theory on offensive tackles is it's the scarcest non-quarterback position, and it's not even close. And again, if Dan Moore's worth $20 million on the open market, then keeping a Calvin Anderson's around makes some sense. So I wanted to talk about the state of the Steelers' offensive line. So they usually keep 9 as well as some practice squad dudes. I've told you a couple times lately that my magic number is 11. I want to take 11 legit NFL players, not undrafted free agents or, guys that would make most teams to camp. Because you're probably going to lose one to injury. They lost a couple last year. Or you trade Dotson or Green or whoever late, because there's always a market in the league because there's such a shortage. So right now, if we assume Anderson's going to make the team, let's just talk tackles to start. We know Broderick Jones is your starting left tackle. We haven't talked that a whole bunch yet, but he's definitely going to be on the left side. Fautanu is your right tackle. I assume by this signing, Calvin Anderson is your number 3 / swing tackle. Now, I'd be more comfortable if he was the 4. Dylan Cook is also in the mix. So that gives us 4 tackles that are probably going to make the team, or at a minimum, we'll just say are NFL players. I mean, like, these guys are all going to be employed next year here or elsewhere, probably here, practice squad at worst, but probably on an active roster, may or may not be available via free agency. I've mentioned signing a guy like Wills, the Browns' former first-round pick. There might be a lot going on there. Who knows? I just thought that it was a little shocking he's out there. But maybe they would do something like that still after the draft. I've often talked about drafting a tackle. It doesn't seem like a need. But again, the price point and what these guys turn into and the scarcity, I almost think you should draft a tackle in every draft, and I would consider it as early as the 3rd round, especially if you had a trade down scenario and had an extra pick. If that was just your, if you go D-line at 21, and I don't know that I could go tackle with the next pick, but if the right guy's there and it's not a bad group in that neighborhood, I would certainly consider it. So it wouldn't break my heart to add one more tackle to this mix, but they have 4. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number 1 source for betting on all the madness. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds and everything from college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest. BetOnline continues to be your number 1 sports betting service. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Now, what else has we got going on here with the rest of this line? Frazier's your center, and you're thrilled about it. Cool. I think McCollum is very much in line to make this team as a much better version of like J.C. Hassenauer, who's just a backup center. Can he play guard? I have some doubts, but I guess in a pinch. So it's really tough to be only a backup center because only one guy can get hurt for you to help the team. That being said, I'm very comfortable with him as the 2. As we know, McCormick is your right guard, Siamalu is your left guard, and Spencer Anderson is your swing guy. So by the numbers, you got your 5 starters, you got Cook, that makes 6, 2 Andersons, that makes 8, McCollum, that makes 9. These are the type of guys I'm talking about. I would like to I get greedy with O-line going to camp. I'd like to add 2 more and get to 11. 10 I'm comfortable with, 11 I'm thrilled with and ideal. So I definitely think they will draft 1. Maybe 2, but they'd probably have to accumulate more picks to fit 2 in. But it would shock me if they didn't draft a O-lineman. Again, you love Frazier. You're super excited about the first round tackles. Depth, I would say at this point is moderate, but this Anderson signing helps. But I'm a McCormick fan, no question. But is it insane to think that maybe he takes a step backwards in year 2? I'm not predicting it. I don't think it will. I'm a believer. I think he'll take a step forward if you really want to know. But it's possible. Siamalu worries me a little. I thought he took a noticeable step back this past year. His contract's up after the year. I very much believe you are looking for another left guard, either in this draft or more likely a year from now. But if you could get ahead of it, and maybe you take one of these tackles that's a little undersized or a little short-armed, and maybe they project to your starting left guard a year from now. He's going to turn 32 in October. There have been some injuries, but I think that there's clearly a decline there. So he worries me that maybe he becomes a real liability. So again, having someone either for the long haul or, immediate in case of emergency, if bad things happen to either one of your guards, makes a lot of sense to me. And more, I think that that's something that should be in the mix. Do I want to draft a pure guard that can't do anything else? I really don't care about I don't need one that can play that's center capable. But if you had a tackle guard / type dude in the draft, that would make sense to me. I'm never going to turn my back up on pure tackles that are 6'6", 6'7", with length and all that. Just develop those guys like crazy. Who knows? Fuatanu or Jones could be a guard. I don't foresee that happening. You don't know how much longer Jones is going to be here if you don't pick up the 5th-year option. You could also get in a situation with camp if you do get to 10 or 11, especially 11 O-linemen as a whole, that teams are calling you. Maybe for Siamalu. Now, would Siamalu get you a 5th-round pick in return for next year's draft? Because that would have to happen in camp for me. Maybe. If he hits the open market and gets a big contract or a reasonable contract, he won't get as much as James Daniels. He certainly won't get as much as Moore. He'll yield you something in the comp game. You guys know I'm big on the comp game. So, all in all, again, signing Anderson today doesn't mean, woohoo, this is the best line in the league. You're all set. But it is a building block. It's a piece. It's a bottom of the roster move. And the fact that it's a 2-year deal is pretty telling to me. I think he could also play guard in a pinch too. And the other Anderson, Spencer, could play right tackle in a pinch. I don't want to see it though. So again, I hope they're not done on the O-line, but this is a nice step in the right direction. I had mentioned the preseason. I kind of thought Herbig would be back or something like that. Didn't happen. I had mentioned Jedrick Wills as a tackle that might be a good reclamation project. Who knows? I doubt that happens. But I would certainly be in the market for at least one more offensive lineman. closer to a tackle than a center. And maybe 2, especially if you end up picking 7 or 8 draft picks. And you might find next year's starting guard in the 5th round this year. Developmental guy, someone that's a tackle turned guard, somebody like that. Emory Jones from LSU, somebody like that. I can give you a lot of names. So that's where the state of the Steeler O-line is. Over and out. We will talk tomorrow.